My friends, it's eerily warm here this morning. In fact, it's just almost spooky. We had a great jam last night. I got a whole bunch of other things accomplished in the shop and outside yesterday, and I'll tell you about all of it right after this. Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. It is Wednesday, February 22nd. As I mentioned, it is very warm out here this morning. It's really bumping like 70, fairly humid. It almost feels like a warm summer morning. I don't know, it just feels a little strange because I haven't had a morning like that in quite a while. I have burned literally many tons of firewood this winter. I don't know that it was the most firewood I've ever used, but it was just as bad as most winters, I'll say that, even though we really didn't have a bad winter. I don't know how to explain all that, it's just that it kept me really busy. Speaking of firewood, yesterday after I got caught up in the office, and by the way, I did get all the orders out yesterday, so any orders that had come in from late last week up through yesterday morning all did go out in the mail yesterday, so thank you for that. After I got that all caught up and got the other paperwork caught up, well, then I took a short lunch and then went over and started splitting those great big elm firewood rounds where I got the bobcat stuck the other day doing the honeydew project for my wife. Anyway, I had to get the rest of that firewood split up, so I took the bobcat back over there with the splitter. Of course, I avoided the very damp area, which I think is an underground spring, is what I think it is what I fell into. If you've ever tried to split elm, if you haven't ever done it, you've really missed out. It's about the hardest wood there is to split. The bobcat didn't have any problem going through it power-wise. That's not the issue. It's just that the fibers in the elm are like this. They're twisted, and when you split through it, those fibers are still there, and it just locks the log together, and you shake it and everything, and it still won't just fall apart. It just stays together. It's hard to explain unless you've ever split that. So that's about the hardest wood I ever tried to split in terms of just getting it apart. The power was not an issue. It just went right through it like butter. It took me longer to split, I don't know, maybe 10 or 12 big rounds like that than it usually takes me to split 4 or 5, trailer loads of wood. But we got her done, and it's all up there next to the furnace. And this morning, I only put one piece of wood in the furnace because it hardly burned last night, which is a good thing for me. And all this warmth makes me think, wow, I got to get on my purple martin nests. I got to get over there and get all that cleaned out and get that ready to go, because within just a few more weeks, the first ones could be showing up. I know they're already showing up in southern United States for sure, so it won't be long. They'll be here, I'm pretty sure. And I love my purple martins, as I've told you before. Purple martins were the bird my mother always tried to get, and as far as I know, I don't think she ever did get them attracted to her, houses and things, but she always tried. And so it was just really a warm, fuzzy feeling for me when I got them that very first time. Hopefully we'll have an even bigger flock this year, because usually the numbers increase every year. So I've got to get some new houses put up in preparation for that. We had a great jam last night at Dickey's Barbecue Pit. In fact, it seems to be getting better and better almost every single time. While there wasn't a real big crowd there, it seemed like everybody did really enjoy it, and even the passerbys stopped and listened for a while. You know how it is. If they're not into that type of music, well, then they don't, stay a long time, but they did listen and they seemed to enjoy it. Today would be the day that the young man would be coming for his music lesson, but unfortunately, I've come down with a head cold. I've got my sinus infection going on. Sinuses were draining all night. Can barely sleep because of it. So I've went ahead and sent an email to cancel the lesson for today, because I'm afraid, you never know these days. Maybe it's more than just a sinus infection, and I just don't want to take a chance on having the young man here and have him catch whatever I have. So we'll have to wait on that till at least next week. On a different note, I did test out the Zoom meeting yesterday, and I actually called from here up to my wife on a Zoom call, or invited my wife to join the Zoom meeting, I should say, is probably the way you explain that. And she was able to get on and get it going. Now, I don't mean anything real negative by this, but if my wife can do it, pretty much anybody can do it, because she's not real good with computers. She's very good with outside stuff, equipment, and all that hard work, but she's not real computer savvy. But she was able to get it going and join my meeting. So if she can do it, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a successful thing that we could all do. Here's what I'd like to suggest in terms of the Zoom conference calls, and that is, if you think that you have a need for a Zoom conference call with me on a one-on-one basis for pretty much anything. It could be help on, what to do with an instrument that you have. It could be help on building an instrument. It could be help on learning the Nashville numbers system. Hopefully you've bought my training on that. If you have any questions about that training, we could help you with a Zoom call, that kind of thing. So there's all kinds of possibilities for Zoom calls. If you think that you have a need for one of those future Zoom calls, then what I would suggest at this point is to go ahead and get the Zoom app loaded on either your phone or your iPad or tablet or whatever you have. That would probably be the easiest way for you to join a Zoom call with me. The other option is, if you have a microphone and a camera on your PC, you can put the Zoom app on your PC. But you got to get that loaded and ready to go ahead of time. Well, you don't technically have to, because my wife didn't have it on her PC, yet she was able to load it and join the thing. But the point is, if you want to do this, the most efficient way would be to go ahead and get that ready and maybe even practice with it a little bit so you'll kind of understand it. Maybe watch a YouTube video or two on how to use Zoom and that kind of thing. Probably not going to try to start that this week with this head cold and congestion. Maybe we'll start it next week. So anyway, the ball is rolling. We are going to move toward that, and I think it is going to be kind of a helpful thing for you guys and really for me too, because it's another revenue source for me, which is always good at this point in my life, since, as I've mentioned and openly said, the retirement is gone. But nobody should feel sorry for me. I'm doing just fine. There's no problem. But on the other hand, you know how the world is. If you've got all your eggs in just one basket, that basket could be dropped pretty quickly. So the more things I can do in terms of revenue streams, the better for me. The final thing is that, as you saw yesterday, I've got the K-Craft all finished, and so that video is ready to be worked on. So I'll be editing that video the rest of today and trying to get that out and get it ready for this weekend's release. That's about all I have for today, so thank you very much for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow.